Welcome to this very special session that we're hosting at NDTV Profit with the Andhra Pradesh government. The topic of our session today is one which requires some in-depth conversation, and we have a fantastic panel helping us do this. We're talking about unlocking India's East Coast advantage, AP Southeast Asia Hub. And joining me in this leg of the conversation first is the Secretary of the State, Bhaskar Khatamneni, Secretary to the government. I hope I've said that correctly, Bhaskar sir. Thank you so much for joining in and help us set the context really. Every state in India, of course, aspires to grow at a great pace, but this aspiration that we've talked about today is on a regional and global scale. You're talking about being a hub in Southeast Asia and taking advantage of the eastern coastline. Can you give us a sense of why this is important?
First of all, thanks for having me on the panel. To answer your question, how does it make sense that we're talking about something beyond India, right? See at the geographic location, the location advantage that AP has. We have 1,000 kilometers of coastline. And our entire coastline, we are looking towards Bay of Bengal and beyond. The Southeast Asia, starting with the Myanmar and the Malaysia, Singapore, and beyond Singapore again. We're talking about Australia and China, Japan. We look towards these countries if you stand on the coast. And we have a geographic advantage. And over the 1,000 kilometers of the coastline, we have 9 existing ports which are functional, and another 5 ports which are getting executed, I think, which in the next 3 years would all be operational. For our state, almost for every 100 kilometers, we have a fully functional seaport through which we want to have a maritime connections to the entire Southeast Asia. And compared to the dwindling populations of Japan, China, even the other countries that we are talking about, we have a still young population, a large proportion of the population in the working age group with the low dependency ratios. I think that is our advantage. And another advantage the state is that we had invested early on the education, and particularly on STEM education. And the great preponderance of people basically pursuing sciences, engineering, and other fields. So all together, we have a locational advantage, we have a demographic advantage, and geopolitics. The way it is on the western coast of India, West Asia, not always stable, always conflict. And one example is that recently Meta has decided that the cable landing would happen at Vizag. So to take advantage of a very stable geopolitics on the eastern seaport compared to western seaport, and then servicing clients across the world, I think that is a location advantage we have, and that's what we have been seeing. That come to Andhra Pradesh, you can service the entire East Asia, Southeast Asia, and beyond.
Mr. Tanti, you have already invested in Andhra Pradesh. There are more exciting ventures that you're putting through as well. I'm not going to ask you to, which is your favorite or which is easier or not. I can already see the worry on Mr. Tanti's face. But how important is ease and speed of doing business when you actually want to go in and invest?
Yeah, so thank you for that. I think, just to also touch base on what Sir was saying, we, of course, work across states, and I think it's important to say that the kind of speed at which things happen in AP are significantly fast, for sure.
There, so, see, I didn't even have to prompt you. It's come on your
So it's
own.
there. And today, and more importantly, I think the leadership visibility in terms of what they want, there's clarity, there's purpose, and there's accessibility. We can meet people and talk to them and get things done. So I think it's a very welcoming state from that point of view. And the experience we have had has been very nice from that. Today, with the total RE capacity that's built up for wind, I think almost 40% of it we've built, close to about $1.5 billion worth of investments. And the kind of plans now they have, especially creating a hub for AI they want to be the data center hub, not just for India, but Southeast Asia, it's going to require a huge amount of energy. And I think the advanced planning on the grid systems that's happening right now in the state, the land issues, the kind of work that's going on the back end, even for green hydrogen, the amount of back end work that's happening, you can see that they are putting the blocks together to make sure that they have the right infrastructure to be able to build up large scale enterprises over there. So we're going to see from a renewables point of view, I think it will become one of, and fortunately for wind, if we see, I think they have an excellent wind potential also. So with the total aspiration that country has, I think Andhra Pradesh alone has a potential to meet 20 to 30% of the total RE requirement. It has the potential. How much we can get done, time will say.
Ma'am, I'm going to come to you, and if you can start just by laying the context for the people here and our viewers. As a consulting firm, what is the kind of direction that you have and you see the Andhra Pradesh government taking to really build itself not only as a competitive state vis-a-vis other Indian states, but as a regional hub?
So thanks for having me here, Tamanna. I wanted to talk about our role. I hate to use the word consultant. I like to use the word co-creators, because I think what we do is in the public-private partnership really bring in the government and the private enterprise together to build something that really works in the benefit of the country. So it is the people at the end of it that matters. Andhra Pradesh, other than having the geographical advantage, and Bhaskar sir spoke about the economic advantage that the East Coast provides, the geopolitical advantage that the East Coast provides, I'll come back to the question that you had asked earlier about why investors come to Andhra Pradesh and how is it differentiating itself and why should it be differentiating. So there are three things that investors look for. One is infrastructure, which is why the East Coast advantage is important to have subsea cables, because that is where your data will drive your economic development, it will drive your AI data centers, internet connectivity. We need to bring people back, and Chief Minister Naidu has been talking about how you use AI for digital services, for grassroots, for every individual. That's only possible when this part gets linked. The geopolitical advantage also is that this connects to Indo-Pacific. We all spoke about Southeast Asia, but what we are also forgetting is through the East Coast we'll connect to the northeast of India, which is again, the Andhra Pradesh growth is also India's growth. So that coastline is really critical. So I spoke about infrastructure. The second thing is investor experience. And a lot of the investor experience was measured in terms of ease of doing business earlier. That part has got platformized now using technology. So what people are now trying to do is the speed of doing business, which is how quickly can we make decisions, how quickly can we land from commitment to delivery. And that we have seen in Andhra Pradesh, and the two examples that we are constantly talking about is what was committed in last Davos versus was delivered in this Davos, and what's committed in this Davos
Why don't
will
you take us through it, or would you like to take us through it, Ms. Bhaskar? And that's an interesting one, because a lot of people say that in Davos there's a lot of talk and promises and handshakes, and then everyone walks off, and then next year you say hello again, but what has actually been delivered? Let's get a list on that.
I'll take one example. I think last Davos, I think our Honorable IT Minister Shri Lokesh met the leadership of Cognizant. Here in Davos, they did a handshake, decided that they look at, starting a IT development center in Visakhapatnam. That was the last Davos. And then the last 1 year, 6 months we worked on that. And we have come to Davos this time after the Cognizant has started operations in Vizag. And when we come back next Davos, we promise you it will be Cognizant's campus built, and then we come here. So that's what we are talking about.
Okay, I'm going to come to Jonathan on, after we've sort of set the context of the conversation, Jonathan, what do you think can be added from a cybersecurity and more importantly an AI perspective? Because I think the buzzword here in Davos has been AI, and sometimes it's just hanging in the ether, because AI to do what? and how? In this current context, how do you think it fits in?
I'll try to share my take on AI in general. I think it's going to be a revolution as big as the internet. We've seen some technological changes over the past decade or so. We've seen the cloud migration, for example, which was a big deal. We saw mobile getting into becoming more and more popular and a commodity. There's something else about AI, which I don't think that all of us get yet. It's really going to change the way that we communicate, and with software, it's going to change that we communicate with technology. It's going to create whole new opportunities just for that. And I think that countries that understand that and adapt fast enough are going to win this kind of race. And it's a free-for-all right now. It might seem that you have some leaders around chips. It might seem that you have some leadership around energy. But it's really just the beginning of these whole new industries. And states that are open-minded to change, that have strong educational system that can really prepare people for the future workforce, that know how to drive business and create opportunities, I think they can really change the way that they look in the future. So the combination of visionary government leader working hand-to-hand to industry can really make a difference around here. From the cyber perspective of it, we are a cybersecurity company. That's what we're doing. Our job is to secure organizations across the globe. We know that threats changes right now, and that requires a whole new way to defense. It's going to be AI fighting AI, attackers using AI to infiltrate organizations, and AI defending against it. And just like in any other area that, as I said, we need to develop something new, that's the same thing for cybersecurity. From a global perspective, I know that what we are as an enterprise looking for is talent, people who are AI native, people who care and want to be a part of this mission. And there is always a talent shortage. And if you create an ecosystem that really allows those capabilities to flourish, I think that can really make a lot of difference.
Damir, I'm going to come to you. And, you've heard the entire context of this state, this Indian state that is looking at setting benchmarks much higher than where it is. What would you contribute to how this can be taken forward?
Thank you, Sue, first for having me. I want to outline first that many of the important aspects already have been mentioned in this discussion. I want to perhaps put it into three buckets. The first one is speed. So when we look around, it's written, choose speed, choose Andhra Pradesh. So fact is that the change today, the speed of change, never has been as fast as it is today. At the same time, it will never be as slow as it is today. So speed is changing everything. I mean, 3 years ago in Davos, there ain't that many people talking about AI. So now what has changed within these 3 years? Just think about if you had predicted 3 years ago on a panel like that how AI will change all our industries, then somebody would tell you, well, okay, that's been nice. So first of all, speed is very important, and this is why I really like the claim of Andhra Pradesh. Now, the second one is vision. So if you want to have speed, and you have to have a bold vision, you have to have a North Star and going into a direction. So I really like the vision which I've heard here today, in what direction Andhra Pradesh has to go. And the third point, and this is very important, is collaboration. So if you really want to succeed, there is no, let's say, technological leadership or ecosystem or universal academic leadership. You have to collaborate. So if you really want to invest and if you really want to succeed, then you have to build up a whole ecosystem. What does an ecosystem consist of? An ecosystem consists of infrastructure. So we heard of the notion that data centers will be built, and I've also learned something which I will add on a little bit later on, quantum computing. But data centers have to be built, and for the data centers there has to be enough energy. So going back 3 years again, the energy consumption globally for data centers within the last 3.5 years doubled globally from 4.8 to 9 plus something percentage. At the same time, speed, it will quadruple within the next couple of years, be it 5 years, be it 7 years. So you have to ensure that the energy is here, and this is something very important. So infrastructure has been covered. Secondly, you have to invest in the universities, because you have to go into the research. The research sector has to create the IPs, but also the workforce of the future. And then some students, but also some other guys, probably will come out with ideas. So these ideas have to find investments so that startups can be created. So the third part in this collaboration is startups environment. So you have to have heavily in this field, what can one do? And then the last one is, I would call it, let's say, literacy, and let's call it digital literacy or technological literacy. During this week in Davos, I'm here since Sunday evening, one cannot imagine how many of our leaders do not know the difference between AGI and agentic AI. And this is a little bit worrisome. So if, and I've learned from the minister before, how much bold the vision is already, and this literacy is already here. So this is very important in order that the industry players will come along.
Louis, I want to get your perspective as well. You look at bringing various stakeholders together. Do you think that the plan that has been outlined here today needs that kind of collaboration as well? Your thoughts?
Well, thank you so much for the invitation, first of all. I was wondering myself what the Portuguese guy is doing in this panel. But as you said, we are an organization that brings organizations together. GESI, the Global Enabling Sustainability Initiative, is a trade association, a global trade association, which is unique in the world. You see trade associations thinking about themselves. We have more than 100 partners in our association. UN system, we work with governments, with non-for-profits. Of course, the business drives the organization, but we are a multi-stakeholder platform. And so we drive collaborations, because through collaborations we realize that there is a lot of benefits around it. So I'm very glad that you are working with Google. Google is probably one of the best sustainable companies in the world. They are our members, so we know what they do. So it's a very good choice. You could have others that we work with, but it is a very good choice. They have an amazing team that is working on realizing efficiencies and working and making sure that we will not only talk about technology, but we also think about what means technology for people and for a better life. Because this is the end game. You know, if you look at me, I'm a 73-year-old man. I started my career in telecommunications at the time when a submarine cable from Portugal to South Africa could carry 200 conversations. So technology, when you talk about technology, we're talking about things changing at the speed of the light. We're talking here about AI today. In 2 years' time, this conversation will be obsolete because things are changing very, very fast. And so I think that we need to focus on how can we use our strengths, how can we use technology, our capacities, really to satisfy our needs, people's needs, so we can have a better life and we live better. So I think when we think about Andhra Pradesh and what we are planning to do, is about bottom line, as a government, you are improving, you know, the environment of your state, making people's lives better, and I think this is what we do at GESI. So we are an organization that is driven by technology and sustainable development, so intersection between technology and sustainable development, but then we plug in all the verticals, because, you know, if you want the data centers, you need energy, you need water, but you need to have those sectors to talk with each other. I'll give you an example. We have a desalination water company member that is working with one of our technology companies. They are developing an AI agent that is improving 15% of the efficiency of the desalination process. So if you don't put the companies to speak together with each other, you'll never get these results. And this is the type of work that we do. So we bring all those vertical industries from water, agriculture, energy, mobility, together with the digital sector, with the sustainability mindset in mind, because when we talk about sustainability, we talk about people as well. We talk about growth, about benefit, and we talk about environment. So these three dimensions, they have to go together, and this is what we do, and that's why we work with the UN system. We are developing a big platform for the Climate Change Convention that was launched in Belém, where we have now 10,000 companies working together, driving efficiencies and benefits, and then we apply those case studies, the good examples in different environments. That's what we do. So we can work with you, and by the way, we are organizing now, Jose is working for us in Bangalore. We are stepping into India, our organization. We have TCS as a member in India, but we would love to work with more companies because through these collaborations, we can really drive benefit for people and for the planet.
Mr. Bhaskar, next year, this time, if all of us are together, what is the promise that you can make, which we will come back and see has been fulfilled?
In terms of AI or in terms of, general? We said
What
that
Andhra Pradesh is doing and some of the meetings and conversations you've had here at Davos.
Next Davos, we would want to show the works getting completed, factories built on the conversation that we had during the last Davos, 2 years' time. That's what we are hopeful.
Fantastic. On that note, round of applause actually for this fantastic team. Thank you so much.